Alright, we finished with the Stamp Act and the Declaratory Act. Now we're moving on to the last part of the British policies that caused problems for the Americans. The Townshend Acts were passed by, well, Townshend was a finance minister for the English, and he needed to raise revenue to help pay for the expenses that the English were dealing with in America. And so the first thing he does is tries to get the Quartering Act enforced, and so they suspend New York's assembly, which means the New Yorkers don't have any ability to make their own rules and laws anymore. And this really upsets the rest of the colonies as well as New York, because all the colonies had something similar to this, and therefore they were worried that if you could take it away in New York, you could take it away anywhere else. Financially, the big thing was the taxes on imported goods like lead, paper, glass, paint, and tea. And so the price of those goods goes up. And the colonists again are upset that they have no power to say, yes, you can do this, or no, you cannot do this. And when you put a tax on goods like this, and you know that the price is going to go up, it leads to smuggling, or people illegally bringing goods into the colonies. And so to help combat this, the English institute, again, the writs of assistance, where the English officials can search anybody's home, their ship, whatever, at any time. And there's actually an incentive for them to catch people doing this. They get paid part of the proceeds. And so a lot of Americans are very upset by this, and so how do they respond? Well, they figure out the most effective form of protest is the boycott, and so they stop buying these goods. Who does this hurt? It hurts the Englishmen who are working in the factories in England. They vote for parliament members, and so this is very effective. So effective that it's eventually repealed. Okay, the Townshend Acts are repealed. But then you get the Tea Act, which is kind of built directly upon this. And the Tea Act wasn't so much a tax as it was a monopoly. It gave the British East India Company all control over the tea trade in the colonies, and therefore they could set the prices as they saw fit. And they were the only source for tea. So the problem with this is that you have to buy tea from them. There is a tax on it, but overall the price of tea drops significantly. What upsets the colonists is they have no say in it. Business leaders get upset because a lot of them had been buying smuggled tea illegally from men like Patrick Henry, and I'm sorry, not Patrick Henry, John Hancock and people of that nature. And so they're really upset by this act because, again, they have no say in it and they have to pay this tax. And it does hurt some minor merchants in the colonies. So how do they respond? Well, in Charleston, they don't let the tea off the ships. It sits there and it rots. In Philadelphia, they don't even let the ships land. They force them to stay out in the harbor. And again, the tea rots. The last one is in Boston, and you probably know this one most famously as the Boston Tea Party. The Sons of Liberty dress up as American Indians, and they board the ships, and they throw the tea overboard. Something like 342 chests of tea. And this is about $2 million worth of tea in today's terms, which is obviously a lot of money. And so they had to know that this was going to get a reaction from Parliament, and Parliament is furious. All right, Parliament is furious about this. And so they passed the Intolerable Acts. They call them the Coercive Acts in England, but here in the Americas we call it the Intolerable Acts. First and foremost, the port of Boston is closed. And you should know that with New England, the ports are the most important. That's where, excuse me, fishing and shipping and whaling and shipbuilding and rope making and all those things take place. And if you close those down, you destroy the economy of Boston. And then therefore they're not going to be able to pay for the tea anyway. Not like they would have in the first place. There's a stronger Quartering Act instituted. Committees of correspondence are outlawed. You need to look up committees of correspondence. Make sure you understand what those are. The big thing is British officials accused of a crime will be tried in England. They will not be tried in the American colonies where they commit the crime. And so if you're in the future, you're going to talk about the Boston Massacre, and that'll really, you'll understand what I'm talking about there. And this law is meant to punish Boston. It is meant to bring the rest of the colonies in line. And England's flexing their muscle here. They've put up with all these protests. They've done nothing to the colonists. Every time the colonists protest, they've never punished them. They've never arrested anybody. They've never used the military to stop them. They let them happen. But with the destruction of private property with the T, England is very upset. And so this is meant to make life hard on the colonists and let them realize, hey, you are not in charge of this. We cannot allow you to destroy property. And obviously this is going to escalate into the war starting, and we'll talk more about that with Lexington and Concord. Once you've completed this, make sure you're filling out that pink sheet that says it's the chart that has all the acts on it. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll check over it together, and then you may take the online quiz, which is posted in Edmodo, and it's actually an Edmodo quiz. All right? Have a good day.